What's up, fans of Bakugan? Welcome in. I just got back from Target and found my very own Platinum Neo Dragonoid. Brought him home, cracked him open, saw that he is a Green Fist deck Bakugan. So I got to thinking about how I would build a Green Fist deck if I was going to use Platinum Neo Dragonoid. So here he is. He's super tall. I think he's pretty cool. Different looking Dragonoid than the past, I think. So varying opinions, but here is his strength, and here's where I started building the deck around. He comes with 800B base and 2 damage with 2 Green Fists, and he gets 500 extra B when he lands on a Green Fist. So he's getting up to 1450 B at his highest and 4 damage. And that is done through this core right here. So with this core, 800 plus 650, 1450, and 4 damage. So that's not terrible for Green Fist, and I thought, what would we do if we built a full Green Fist deck with Platinum Neo Dragonoid? So here's my first Bakugan, Platinum Neo Dragonoid Pyrus. My second Bakugan, as I looked through all the Heos choices, and I chose Heos because of the Green Fist cards that come in that faction. So I'm going to go through the Bakugan first, and then I'll show you the cards. But it's pretty cool what we can build here. As I went through my binder, I found all these Bakugan that have Green Fist bonuses and come with, for the most part, dual Green Fist. So here we go. Hyderus Trino Ultra. On the front, it's only getting to 950 and 6, but after you fuse it, it's going to get up to 2550 and 8. So if you can stay in the game until the 7th turn, that might be pretty cool. But if you also use Ventus and use Stoneblade, 1 energy plus 2 damage, and you can energize this card because the Bakugan's holding a Green Fist. Maybe if you play this once or twice, you could get this fusion for 7 on the 6th or the 5th turn. So that was pretty cool there, only because he's a monster when he's fused. Then we had Heos Ultra Gilliter from Bakugan Evolutions. He's getting up to 1150 and 9. So 1150 is not huge, 9 is huge. So I just went through, a lot of these guys ended up around 1000. Dragonoid from Bakugan Evolutions is 1150 and 7. Spartillion from Secrets of the Geogon is 1150 and 5, and he has a built-in reroll, 2 Green Fists. But then we get to the 2 guys that are really good, and I would choose out of these 2, and I'd probably end up with Sectonoid, but Dragonoid Ultra can get up to, again, 1450 and 4. So 1450, that's kind of where we want to be. Minimum, I think, nowadays. But Sectonoid, if you can do all these crazy math in your head, let's do this slow and see if we can get it right the first time. So he's going to land on a Green Fist. He'll be 250. When he lands on the Green Fist, he can pick up a core from the Matrix and put it onto him. So he's 250, and he picks up a Helix for 600. He's 850. And when he has a Helix, he gets another 700. So now he's 850 plus 700 is 1550 and 9 damage. But the Helix that comes with 600 also minuses 3 damage. So he'd be at 6 damage. 1550 and 6. And here are the 2 cores now. That will do it for him. 1550 and 6. So lots of crazy math. You got to land on that Green Fist. Then you put the Helix on him. The Helix gives him another 700. And he ends up being, I think, the strongest Heos Bakugan. Green Fist at that. So this is cool. I would probably go with Sectonoid. But Dragonoid, I don't know, is 100B less for a little bit less damage. So couldn't go wrong with either one. So I'll put this back. So I'm choosing Sectonoid in this case. But it gave you some options. So Platinum Neo Dragonoid Pyrus, Heos Sectonoid. For Ventus, I just went through quick and found Green Fist Bakugan. None of these are really strong. So if we look at Falcron, 2 Green Fists, 400 plus 500 is 900, plus the core 150, he is 1050, with 6 plus 2 is 8 damage. So 1050 and 8 damage. The B power is really, really low. The damage is high. So, you know, if you put a gear on him, that's when he'd be strong enough. Then we have Nilius from Bakugan Evolutions. Now, if he lands on a Green Fist, he takes the opponent's core off of the opponent's Bakugan and puts it back onto the Matrix. So it's a core steal, core removal. Not a steal, it's a removal. So he'd be at 800, your opponent would not have a core, and he'd have 5 damage. Or he'd be at 850. 850 and 4 damage. So you could roll with him, it'd be really obnoxious as your opponent to play against you, but that could be really strong. You're taking all your opponent's cores and putting them on your side of the Matrix and just letting him have access to your Green Fists, which probably won't help them very much. Okay, and then the last one here that I saw in my binder was Frascal Ultra. Geogon Rising, he has a built-in reroll. He comes with the Helix and a Green Fist, and he's going to get up to 1150B. 500 plus 500 plus 150, 1150, 7 damage. It's still really low B power. So the Ventus options for Green Fist were pretty low, barring new Bakugan that are going to come in, perhaps in the future. So you'd have to get a gear on some of these Ventus Bakugan, or just mess around with your opponent. Which in this case, I might choose Nilius, just so that you can be stealing your opponent's cores and try to win that way. Because if you're at 850 and you take your opponent's core, they could be at 800 or 900 or 700, and then it's just an even fight with cards that you're playing. So that might be the way to go here in this deck. So for me, I'm going to choose these 3 Bakugan right here. This is my Green Fist deck and Green Fist team. Okay. Now, if I'm going to look for, I'll save the Nanogun for a second. I'll go through the Geogon first. I looked through my Geogon. Here's what I think I would include. Babadrill for 1 energy has 1000 B, gets a 500 off a Green Fist. So if we're using this Green Fist, we're going to be at 1600 B and 4 damage. Your opponent might get to 1600 off the roll with the core included. So for 1 energy, you're essentially just trying to tie them. You could be a little bit more, but it's not a terrible choice. It could be a good choice. And the thing is if your opponent has Green Fists that you want to steal, you could steal them with Babadrill. If not, you have plenty of Green Fists that you can use as well. So it might be an okay decision there. Maybe if you just miss a roll, you could play him if you don't have a reroll in your deck. So that's one idea. Hail's Skyhorse for 4 energy is getting to 1505 and gets 700 more on the Green Fist. So we could be up to 22, 23, or 2350. With this core, it would be 2300 B with 8 damage. So that's not terrible for 4 energy. Let's do the math really quick. This is how I see if a Geogon is worth it on a calculator. Where did he go? Where's Skyhorse? Okay, so he's getting up to 2300 at his highest, and let's say your opponent is getting up to 15 or 1600. We'll use 1500. So we'll subtract the 1500 that your opponent is already at. That leaves us with 800, and then Skyhorse costs 4 energy. So we're going to divide this 800 by 4. That means that playing Skyhorse is basically the same as playing an action card for 1 energy for 200 B, which is pretty normal. You could get action cards that are 1 energy for 300 B, so it's not the most efficient card to play. And if your opponent's getting more than 1500 B off the roll, like if they're getting 16 or 17 or 1800, that's when this Skyhorse becomes less useful. But it's also a core steal. You're stealing a core or just stealing your own Green Fist or using your own Green Fist. So think of him as you will, but that is an option. And then the last one I found that I thought would be okay is Mutasec. 1 energy for 800 B, 6 damage on a Green Fist. You're only going to get up to a maximum of 950 and 8 damage. But what you're doing is you're getting 3 Frost Strike if you land on a Green Fist. So let's say your opponent just misses the roll and they're not going to play that turn, or they don't have a lot of cards in hand and they're stuck at a low B power. That's when you could come in and play Mutasect because you think you're going to win and you want to get that Frost Strike so that they can't play any flip cards or defense when they're taking damage from you. So probably the least best option there, but There you go. So those are the Geogon you could think about. Now for the fun part, because this is where it gets crazy. The Nanogun. For a Green Fist deck, these are the Nanogun I found that really excel with Green Fist. So Nano Riptide, you land on a Green Fist, you flip him over and activate him, you get 300 B. So 300, that's about as high as Nanogun can get with one core, 300. So that's good. You won't be getting the plus 500 unless you are using a card like this, where you're attaching a core from the field. You could attach a magic shield and use Nano Riptide as your bonus, or a card like, you know, Consort or Enlightened Focus. Get a magic shield, get him another 500B if you wanted to use Nano Riptide. So that's one option, but I think in most cases it would just be use him for 300. Then we have Pyrus Nano Riptide, where one Green Fist is 200, but two Green Fists are 600. Now that's pretty cool. 2 cores for 600 is the high end on a Nanogun. So I'd definitely be using him. 2 of my Bakugan have Green Fists, another 600B. And it could be just one Bakugan that has one Green Fist, and then I add a Green Fist to him through a card like Mega Punch or the Enlightened Focused or Consort that I just showed you to get 2 Green Fists. Or you could just have 2 open Bakugan with their Green Fists. So Nano Riptide is a must for those Green Fist decks. And then lastly, Nano Shadow. 3 Green Fists, you get 1600B. Now you could do that without any cards, just your third roll, you pick up a Green Fist, your 3 Bakugan are now open with 3 Green Fists, flip this guy over, and on that third battle, you're getting 1600B. You're not going to get the one with the Helix unless you used a Bakugan like Sectinoid, which I said I was going to. So you would have a Helix on your side of the matrix, I should say. And Sectinoid is going to be holding a Helix when he rolls on it. So I take that back. You could easily get the 2000 B bonus and remove your opponent's core because you could have a Helix. You're using Sectinoid. So Nano Shadow would be the shining star in this deck to really mess up your opponent and get ahead in a battle. So I think he would be the best Nanogun to use. Now, looking at the cards that I thought we could use as I went through my binders, looking at the factions, Stone Blade is a good idea. 1 energy for 2 extra damage, but if the Bakugan is holding a Green Fist, you get to energize it uncharged, so that's ramp, you get to get ahead in energy. For the Pyrus faction, there's Sword Barrage, which gives you 8 damage if you are holding a Green Fist. And if you're going to include damage wins in your Pyrus Heos Green Fist deck, here are some options: Midas Indius and Mac. So you could use these 2 cards, switch the condition of the brawl to damage wins, and then use a card like Sword Barrage to get 8 extra damage. So that's a pretty cool combo there with these 2 cards and damage wins and Pyrus. The other card was Twisting Inferno. And this is cool because you also get to remove your opponent's Baku core for 3 energy. You get to take the core and put it onto the matrix, so you kind of get to steal it and put it on your side. And if your Bakugan is holding a Green Fist, you draw a card. So you have 3 of these in your deck. That provides you some Pyrus faction draw power. That's pretty cool. Must have, I think, in these factions that are playing on this team right now. Here are the 2 Heos cards for 3 energy each that kind of do the same thing. Enlightened Focus is just the power creep version where you get to draw a card if your Bakugan have 3 or more Baku cores attached to them. So I would probably run a combination of 2 of each of these, maybe 3 of each, depending if I built the deck out all the way, just to have core control. So these would be good to get those Green Fists on your Bakugan. Same with Mega Punch. It's a cheap way to get a Green Fist onto an open Bakugan and to even get to a card like Nano Shadow quicker if you wanted to get your 3rd Green Fist to get 1600B. And then we have cards, well, this card, Holy Flame, Classic, 1 energy for 600B if they're holding a Green Fist. And this ratio, 1 energy for 600, is twice the amount of a normal card, so it's pretty cool. It's a really strong Green Fist B power card. I would run 3 of these in my deck. And then the last Heos card is this Energy Vortex Gear, 3 energy, 300B, but when you put it onto the Bakugan, you get to take a Green Fist from the field and put it onto one of your open Bakugan. And again, it can help you get one of your Nanogons going. You could even put this onto a, I don't know why you would, now that I say it out loud. You could put it onto a Geogon for a turn, and they could land on, Skyhorse could land on a magic shield just to get a bigger bonus in B power, so he'd get to 2150. And then you attach this card and get a Green Fist on him, so he'd get 300 with the gear, which would be 2450, and then 700 because of the Green Fist, so 2450 plus 7 is 3150? He'd be at 3150 for 7 energy. So if you get to that point, 7 energy, 3150, you win that battle, and Skyhorse has a Victor team attack where all your Bakugan are attacking. So at that point, we'd be at 5 damage, plus maybe 3 more on this core for 8, and then all your open Bakugan attack, it could get, 8 more. Maybe you're going for 16 damage that turn. Fun stuff. You could even use one of these guys that turn and just make sure that you win. Well, no, you're at 3150 B. You're definitely going to win through B power. You don't need damage wins that time. So there you go. Those are all the cards that I found. The team, the Green Fist team with Platinum Neo Dragonoid. These Bakugan are getting up to 1450, 1550 B, or else 850 and taking your opponent's core. This is my Green Fist team. Let me know what you think. What else would you add to this type of deck? What have you added in the past, and what is fun to run in a Green Fist deck? Hope you learned a little bit. I think I did. And may all of your brawls end in your victory. Like and subscribe. More coming at you later. Thanks.